All right, we're going to be doing another cabinet humidor. Once again, this is going to be mahogany plywood with SEPELLE framing, such as the door and the trim and all of that stuff. And what I'm doing right now is I'm breaking down the sheet of mahogany plywood, breaking it down to the measurements I need for the carcass. This particular one is going to be one that sets on the ground. It's going to have the main part of the humidor. It'll have 4 cigar baskets in it, which will be on drawer pulls. Drawer slides. And then it's going to have a separate drawer underneath, which will contain the humidifier. As they say, measure twice, cut once. I've learned to measure multiple times before I cut, and even then sometimes I still screw up. All right, here I've got the dado stack set up so I can put some rabbets on the side pieces of the carcass. Using a rabbet just helps with when you start to glue up the carcass. It makes it a better joint, but at the same time it makes it easier to make sure you're getting everything squared up. And as you see, I do have a sacrificial fence right there. You need that so you can bury the blade into that sacrificial fence, because if not, your rabbet at the edge, you would still have like a little slither that you'd have to go back and cut off. And doing it like this, you don't have to do that second step. And of course, you use a sacrificial fence because you don't want to bury that blade into your main fence. All right, now I'm at my joiner, plater, and combo. Made sure the fence was nice and square at 90 degrees. And I'm planing the face. And now I'm going to plane the edge. And I'm at the table saw now and I'm squaring up the other side of the edge. And this is Spanish cedar right here, and which is going to be used for the panels on the inside of the carcass. And just ran through the planer to get the thickness. And now all 4 edges and faces are all squared up. And now I'm going to resaw the Spanish cedar to get my 3/16 of an inch panels, or veneer pieces. I've got this 18-inch bandsaw now with the Resaw King blade on there, and it's a huge difference compared to my other bandsaw. I mean, the cut is so smooth with that blade. Highly recommend that blade, and I highly recommend the 18-inch bandsaw as well. And it's a Laguna 18-inch. And I'm just taking measurements for those veneer panels I'm going to be gluing in. Using Type Bond 3 wood glue. And this is the part that I really need to get one of the bags that you can put these panels in. When you're gluing down this veneer on here, it's really hard to get the correct pressure down the middle area because your clamps just don't reach it. A lot of times I use the cawls to spread them across and kind of just help spread the pressure. But I need to get one of the veneer bags, and that would make this process way easier. Anytime you're dealing with this glue, it dries so quickly, so you got to move, and it just makes it really tough. So in the future, I'll probably get one of those bags. And now I'm just using my bandsaw to trim off the excess. Taking it down as close as I can to the edge, and then what I'll do is I'll take it over to the router table and use the flush trim bit to get it completely flush, as you can see right there. And now I'm gonna start gluing up the carcass. Putting on some clamps. And the clamps is gonna help it stay in place. I'll come back with some screws, and this will definitely get it solid, and it won't go anywhere. Gonna glue up the other side now. So once again, gluing and then screw it. Threw in a couple pin nails in there to help hold it in place until I get these clamps on and the screws. And now applying the glue to the other side of the panel to complete the box of the carcass. And as you can see, the top and bottom there, I don't have the veneered Spanish cedar on there yet. I do have it on the sides, but the top and bottom will get it once I get this all glued up. Just makes it easier to get the correct measurements and everything, so everything is going to be nice and tight. And cleaning up any of the glue squeeze out there. All right, so right here I'm going to be routing out a dado using the router. This will be the dado I'm going to use for the separator between the humidor area and where the drawer is going to go at the bottom. And I'm just using that small piece of cut off plywood there as a spacer. And using my router plane here to clean out the bottom. And before I put that that other separator in there for the drawer and the humidor itself, I figured I'd go ahead and put the slides in for the drawer, just because right now it's much easier access. Normally when I do that, I'll end up putting the separator in there, and then I'm sitting there thinking to myself when I'm trying to get the slide in there, why didn't I do this before I put the separator? So anyways, right there, I'm doing the rabbet around the back, and I'll be able to put the back panel in. And I'm not gonna, and at first I'm not gonna screw it in or glue it in or nothing. I'm gonna just take measurements so I can put that back panel in. And once again, doing it that way just makes it easier to get the veneered panels glued on. Now, as you can see, I do have the separator in, and I'm putting the panels, which this will be the bottom of the humidor. And I cut them down to size, put the glue on there. And that's what I was talking about earlier. I use those cawls right there to help apply pressure across as much as possible. This would be where that veneer bag would just make this such an much more easier task. Just doing everything I can to apply even pressure. Right here I'm using some 1/2-inch plywood to create the actual drawer. Gonna glue and pin it. And I think later on, I don't think I get it on film, but later on I do come back and put screws in it too. Just for a little extra strength. Okay, I got the two sides and the front done. And for the back, I'm gonna cut off, I believe I cut off a 1/2 inch. And this is the drawer bottom. I'm gonna cut it to size. And doing it like this by the back, cutting a 1/2 inch off, this allows me to, I can put the bottom in, and let's just say later on, if the bottom breaks or something like that, doing it like this, you're able to unscrew the bottom and slide it out, and change it out if you need to. And this is where I'm putting the little screw right there, and that's going to hold it in place. Make sure it's all square. And now I'm attaching the drawer to the slides. Sorry, you're getting close-ups of my head there. And I'm pretty sure I probably put way more screws in there than I needed, but I'd rather have more than not enough. Right here, I am marking where I'm going to start and stop for these vent holes. This is probably about the messiest part of the whole process here. Just working in that tight area right there. It would be hard to get the the vacuum on top of that attached to the router at the same time. It'd be a lot cleaner, but it'd just be a lot harder to do. So once again, I'm using those small pieces of offcuts there to use as my spacers so I can get everything nice and even. And you're just plunge a little bit, route, plunge it a little bit deeper, route it out until you get all the way through. And I'm just sanding the edges to kind of break them a little bit, get rid of the little rough spots. And this right here was where I got the veneer onto the back panel. Took all my measurements when I attached it. And then, as you can see, I didn't put any of the Spanish cedar down at the bottom where the drawer is going to be because it doesn't need it. That's not needed down there. Make sure everything fits good. Gonna put the glue inside the rabbet there. Get the glue evenly spread it. Use my clamps to get everything nice and tight. All right, there's a little bit of trim for the inside. Basically just went around the back edge, and it wasn't really needed, but just wanted to dress it up a little bit. And this way you can cover up any, little spaces that didn't quite come together 100%. And I think it just looks a little bit better like that. And this is a 8/4 piece of SEPELLE. I'm resawing it in half. And as you can see, I'm using a feather board right there, and that's just helping it stay pressed up against the fence. And this is, I want to say 9.5 inch wide 8/4 SEPELLE. And after resawing it, I'm cutting these pieces down. This is going to be the trim that wraps around the top and the bottom. The client I'm making this for, he told me he didn't want nothing fancy. He just wanted something simple. So I was trying to keep it as simple as possible. And I'm gonna use, I'm gonna miter the pieces together, and I'm using the domino right here so I can glue the pieces together. Clean up all the squeeze out and everything. Got my little pinch clamps that I love so much now. And went ahead and pinned the miters as well. And that was either the top or the bottom that I did previously. Now I'm doing the opposite of whatever I just did. Trying to use a clamp there to help get it completely pushed together. There again, it's just another example. Once you get that glue on there, it swells the wood up somewhat. But I mean, you have to work quick or that glue is just, it's gonna dry on you and it's gonna be hard. I'm putting these little scrap pieces on the bottom. Doing this because it's gonna give me something to screw these feet into. You'll see in a second, I'm gonna drill a hole into these scrap pieces. Taking the pieces for the top and bottom trim, just doing a round over on them. Here we are, what I was talking about. Drive this nut in there, and then you'll see me take the little feet and they just screw in, the leveler feet. And just like that, do all 4 of them. This is gonna be the top. And this more or less it's not going to be seen. It's just what I'm going to use to screw the top on into, because instead of doing an overlapping top, I'm going to put I think I make a, you'll see in the second part of the series where I make a panel to put in there. And right here I am at the joiner, and some more SEPELLE. Get another piece of wood ready to get everything squared up, get it to the proper thickness. And this is the planer portion of the joiner planer. And now I'm just squaring up the other edge. And all these pieces right here I'm making, this is going to be what's going to go around the all the edges. Are going to cover up all the exposed ply. It's going to cover up all the screws that I used. This right here, I'm applying the face frame. Use the pin nailer to tack it in place. And like I said, this is going to be a 2-part series. We're coming up to the end of part 1 right here. I'm really liking how it's turning out. Part 2, I'm going to show the construction of the door, the cigar baskets, and applying the finish. So I hope y'all enjoyed part 1, and you know, I'll make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you know when I put part 2 out. And leave me some comments, you know, give me some likes, some thumbs ups. Let me know what y'all think I should have done to make it better. All right, y'all have a great day. All right, here we go with part 2 of the floor standing humidor / end table humidor. So I'm picking up from where I left off of part 1, and I'm doing the outside trim, just covering up all the seams, all the pieces of ply that is exposed. And right here I am gluing some pieces of wood together for what's going to be part of the door. I had some scrap wood laying around, so instead of letting it go to waste, and I needed the top and the bottom pieces to be a little bigger. because what I had left wasn't big enough. So I'm just gluing these together and getting them clamped up. And now I'm just gonna wipe all the glue squeeze out away. Makes cleanup a little bit easier rather than waiting for it to dry. And I'm using the domino here, and this is how I'm going to attach the doors together. And I'm using 2 floating tendons on each one. Gluing it up. Get the glue, excuse me, get the squeeze out, the glue squeeze out cleaned up, put some clamps on. And once this is dry, I took it over to the router table, doing a little round over. Make the edges look really nice and clean. And once I get done doing the round over, I'm gonna go to the inside and put a rabbet in there. And this rabbet is gonna be where the glass will be placed. And I usually take the glass to a glass place, obviously, and they cut a piece to fit, and they also install it for me. Usually they just use some clear silicone to put it in place. It's worked great for me with every humidor I've done. I'm just trying to make sure that the door stays extremely flat so I can get this rabbet even all the way around, because like I said, the glass will be sitting in there and you don't want any bumps or any irregularities or anything. And here I'm just rounding over the inside. Actually, I was putting a chamfer on the inside, my bad. And here I am putting on some hinges. These are mortise free hinges. And here I am putting the hardware onto the drawer front, and I'm just using like a little trick here where you place the tape over the holes on the hardware, and then you tape it down where you want it at, and this way you can get those holes lined up perfectly so the screws will go directly into the hardware. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing for the door. Pre-drilling the holes. And now I'm starting the construction of the baskets. I've got a video of how I do the basket construction, so I'm not going to put a whole lot into it on this video. But as you can see, I'm just using my flush trim router bit here. It's a compression bit by Whiteside. And I did this for 8, I believe. And instead of using double-edged tape, I used the pin nails. And what I did, instead of putting the nail gun all the way down the wood, I kind of held it about an inch or 2 above, so it wouldn't go all the way in. It would go just enough to hold the 2 pieces together. And it made it easier to remove when I was done. And here I'm just rounding over the basket pieces. This is still part of the cigar baskets. And like I said, just rounding them over, breaking all the edges. And now I'm gonna take it over to my other table saw where I've got the dado stack set up. And I'm just putting a rabbet on the end of these. And you can see here how the rabbet comes into play. And I'm leaving that little piece right there hanging off the edge because that's going to cover up the drawer, the front of the drawer slides. that I'm going to use to install these. And, you know, it wasn't really necessary, but I thought it was a nice little added, you know, just to kind of just hide some things. Thought it looked nice. And now I'm just putting the frame of the baskets together. These baskets are a little bit thicker than what I usually make them. Like I said, I was just trying something a little different. And I'm using a little 1/2 inch spacer block there to make sure everything is even. Glue it and pin nail it. And now I'm putting the little slats in. And now the drawer slides. And so what I had to do is I had to put like a spacer block on the inside. Reason for that is because without it, it would hit the door, and ended up having to make sure that when you do pull them out, you'll see at the end, the door has to be fully open in order to pull the baskets out. Got those installed, and here I am cutting this down to, I believe, 1/4 of an inch, and this is going to be for the top. Using my planer here to get all the bandsaw marks out, and I'm gonna glue these edges together, and I'm just using some tape to hold them together, and I flip it over, put the glue in the middle, wipe up the glue squeeze out, and I'm gonna use these right here to place above the joints. Just so I can clamp it up and I know that they are staying flat. This is the top of the humidor, and I just put those pieces in there just randomly so they would be supported. Here I am putting the hole in the back, and that's where that little plug thing goes. I showed it at the end of the other video, I believe. And here I'm drilling for the magnet. And now I'm putting the finish on, and this is Rubio monocoat walnut. I thought it went on really well, and I really like the color. Placing a little light in here. It's held on with a little sticky with a magnet on the other side, so you can take the light in and out as you please to charge it or whatnot, and all you gotta do is just grab it and pull it down. It's just magnetized up there. And once I got the glass put in the door, I got the glass back, and I'm putting it back on. All right, here we go. Testing it all out. Drawers come out nice and clean. That's how it looks with the light on. Now I did get the customer 3 other lights, so they can place those lights anywhere they want to in there. Again, I'm just showing how the baskets come out. As you can see, the door has to be all the way open for these drawers to come out nice and smooth. Not a big deal. It doesn't have to be all the way open, just open enough. But here again, this is part 2, is the finish, and I hope y'all enjoyed.